Go ahead, buddy. Give the intro.
All right, hey everybody, it's episode 6, Golf Jitsu podcast. I'm here. I'm introducing the episode, but I'm the co-host, John Del Bruges. I'm with Joe, and we're joined by a special guest tonight. One of my, I guess you could say, like my student at this point. But you know, he's also a training partner, and just a friend and a person I've known for a very long time. Mr. Pat Rivera. How's it going, Pat?
What's up?
Yeah, and so you know, as if this is your first time viewing, you know, we like to kind of alternate back and forth between golf and like martial arts kind of themed podcast shows. So this week we wanted to do something martial arts related. So I thought, what better than to have an actual like professional mixed martial arts fighter. And this is also a golf podcast. So like, you know, if I had to put it in golf terms, if I had explained what he is in golf terms, he's like a guy on the Corn Ferry Tour about to get onto the PGA Tour. So I guess we can get right into it. I mean, just to kind of explain what happened, we typically do these kind of all remotely, but internet went down at my house today, so we had to figure out last second what to do. So I drove up to the gym that Pat's at and where he trains at and coaches at a lot, which is also a different gym than my gym, so like my home gym. So I'm like behind enemy lines here, sacrificing a lot for the podcast. All right, but Pat, just to kind of set the stage of like where you're at and like what's going on in your career and life right now. Like, tell us what you're currently preparing for.
So I'm currently preparing for a fight July 12th in Pennsylvania, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, on Fight World. So that's the next thing. That'll be my 15th professional MMA fight.
What
15.
weight class do you fight in?
Yeah, good question.
This next one is going to be at 170, so welterweight.
Welterweight. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Welterweight. And how much
Pat,
weight do you have to drop?
Not as much this time. I'm like kind of already in striking distance, about 10% of my body weight. So I start my cut around 187, and I'm walking
math.
around. I'm walking around right around there right now. I'm about 190. So.
No, that's. I mean, we had a podcast where we talked about like what John went through when he was fighting, and like, you know, fight week and cut week and hell week, right? Is that what you guys call it? Because I'm a sissy. I don't fight. You know, so I don't know what it's like to cut weight. I haven't cut weight since freshman year when I wrestled.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, no. I don't know. Yeah, fight cut week. You know, weight cut week. You know, fight week. No like crazy name for it. Actually, I remember when John was fighting, he was the most disciplined. I always used to be like, this guy is like the most disciplined. If they said he could only have a fourth of an almond, he literally was like weighing it, cutting it. I was
no way to live, by
you know,
the way.
You know, it's crazy because when like honestly, like watching you like go transition into your professional career, it gave me a lot of my thought processes that I took into my career, like amateur and pro. I was like, oh, like
And
I
now
need
you
to
can
be
see
that
why
dialed
I'm
in.
like, I'm trying to dial you. I'm like, don't
Yeah.
overdo it.
Yes.
It's better to underdo it than overdo it sometimes, because you can last longer, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, he's right. I did go way overboard and crazy with it. I was like living like a monk,
Yeah.
way too You have to have a balance.
I feel like I'm pretty sure that you were like, yeah, I eat like some, like your cheat was like
It was ridiculous, yeah.
was like seaweed chips or something like
Yeah,
that.
I
was
went
like
vegan for 2
I was
years.
like, what is-
just for the sake of losing weight and
Yeah.
changing my body structure.
Yeah, it was yeah, and even just like your philosophies on training at that time, I just remember like, yeah, it was a big influence into my my martial arts like journey and like what I thought it meant to be a pro, and honestly the sacrifices you have to make. I was like, oh, like I know that there is at least one guy doing this, so it's like I need to be doing that. So
Right.
and a lot of it was from like watching him like as I was coming up.
Well, Pat, to even go back further, how did you get into the martial arts? Like, what was your first experience in the martial arts that got you into fighting?
Probably, so I mean, I was like 5 years old and I wanted to box, watching Rocky, and then watching all like those, Jet Li in, I think it's like Fist of Legend when he's like bouncing on his toes and like boxing. I was like, I want to do that. And so I actually wanted to be a professional boxer. And my mom would say, no, no, no. And, you know, when I was 12 years, I was kind of getting into fights, getting picked on in school. And so my mom was like, okay, yeah, like let's go into it. So 3 days before my 12th birthday, I started boxing, and then kind of just that's where the start happened, and eventually I transitioned into mixed martial arts. But yeah, started about 3 days before my 12th birthday. It was my birthday present was like to get signed up at a boxing gym.
So you boxed. So you boxed for how long before you got into like MMA, or like, you know, because back then there wasn't a quote unquote MMA school, right? It's not like not like today where you can go to a dedicated mixed martial arts school where they're going to teach you the fundamentals of grappling, wrestling, boxing,
I mean,
Muay Thai.
Pat's like 18 years old, so when you say back then, we're talking like 2009.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying he's a young guy. So like, you know, he definitely he's kind of the generation of kids and people that like actually like kind of grew up a little bit in MMA. He was a little bit before that though, because he ain't exactly a spring chicken. I'm kind of, you know, give him a little bit too much credit there, but he definitely was kind of brought up in the era of like MMA. You know, Pat has been around. Like he's talking about like me influencing him. Like we were like fighting together, like in the same realms. You know, you've been around for a long time. Yeah. He was just a kid then, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why like. He was able to draw inspiration. You know, he was like mature enough to draw inspiration from his peers at that level. When you're older, sometimes you even though you should be more mature in that regard, you're not. You're more of a knucklehead. Some of the guys are. They won't like, you know, if they lose to a guy, they're like, they don't want him to win anymore. You know, like if I lose to somebody, I want you to do good. You know what I'm saying? Like I want you to. I only want to lose to good people. You know what I'm saying?
I lost to somebody, and when he made it to the UFC, I was like,
I was like, great, yes, good, you did good. Great. Yeah. It's a cope, but I don't care. You know, it's like I'll say that for the guys that I beat too. Like I always want them to like rebound and like do better. Like don't like let me retire you. Like I can't only beat guys that are on their way out. You know, like you want to be able to beat tough guys.
But it's just like in class. Like, you know, I get a kick out of when guys that I'm training, you know, if they tap me, if they catch me, right? Because that means whatever I'm teaching them, it's working. But then also we hug and embrace after the rolls. Good job. It's awesome that there's that same kind of respect. Like even after you throw fists, you're basically out there to take the other guy's head off. That you still have that love for each other.
I would say that in MMA it gets a little crazy with how famous and popular people can get, because a lot of lines get crossed these days, and you know, people talk about doing things for the gram. I mean, you got like musicians killing each other for clout, you know, social media clout. You don't think young knucklehead guys in the UFC are going to talk about your kid with special needs or something? You know what I'm saying? Like people do this, and it happens still. So I don't want to paint the picture like all MMA fighters are. It's like martial artists. It's not. It's a crazy business, and it's like I do compare it a lot to golf. Okay, because there's like, you know, that grind on the Corn Ferry Tour and those lower professional leagues. But I mean, MMA is a very dirty business, and I'd say that it has more in line with like an adult film entertainment thing than it does like a professional sports athlete.
I think it's where you come up though too, right? Because like I said, like like you took inspiration from. I remember you wore the gi out like GSP, always, right? So that martial artist thing, and then you had a young guy in me like watching you do that. So in my brain, I was like, oh, I have to be a martial artist, and so it's like that's kind of the lineage of like where you do have the crazy.
It's a good filtering system.
Yeah, you do have the crazy, but you do
Yeah.
have the crazy banger gyms that are like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're just gonna fight every single day. We're gonna do so. I do think like there is martial arts elements, and
Yeah.
then there also are just the crazy.
And the
people
all
too.
I'm saying is like nowadays the crazy people are more prevalent. Back in the days, it like there was like natural filtering processes in place at the gyms that would just beat the hell out of the crazy guys, and they would either conform or they would be too crazy and they wouldn't be able to cope, so they would stop training. They would be like, my
Well,
cat died and my foot, I hurt my foot.
Pat, what would you say is your specialty in terms of the martial arts?
I would probably say my striking is my specialty.
Good.
Um,
Thank you.
but I feel that I'm pretty well rounded.
Yes.
I put again, this is called upbringing. Like I was very fortunate to be at 88, very like young in a very developmental part of my life. So I actually took Master Julius's like advice and kept, even when I like trained other places or went different places, I kept in line with the doing like small training camps in like in certain disciplines. So I would take 9 months and like do a skill development in jiu-jitsu, then 9 months and do a skill development in boxing, and nine. So I feel very well rounded, but I feel like I've always gravitated towards being naturally gifted at striking and just my brain working very fast in striking, whereas like in jiu-jitsu sometimes it takes me, where it might take me 1,000 reps in striking, I need that 5 to 10,000 reps in jiu-jitsu.
Right. So I mean, with this training camp, right? You know, your opponent, you're obviously studying his style and whatnot. So, what are you doing to prepare for this upcoming opponent?
Not so not much, honestly. This isn't kind of like the UFC. I'm not like, I'm almost positive that I've had a lot of pullouts, so I don't really start watching until 4 or 5 weeks out. I don't know if that guy's going to show up. We're 11 weeks out or 12 weeks out or whatever. Yeah, we signed a contract, but people get injured, people get hurt. We're at a stage where like people still get scared. So I've kind of actually been doing what he says and just really focusing on myself and like bringing in what my best game plan is, regardless of who is in front of me. It could be a 7-foot tall guy, a 5-foot tall guy. It could be a striker, a wrestler. It doesn't matter what's the best version of myself that's going to win. And that's the person that I'm bringing. So I'm not really focusing on my opponent right now, which is new. This is something new that I've been implementing only, the last, year and a half. I used to be like Batman and feel like I need prep time and to study, the weaknesses and stuff like that. So this is a newer type of thing that I've been trying to mess with. But so I'm not really doing anything to focus on him. I'm focusing completely on myself and just making myself better.
Pat, talk about really fast about how the craziness, just the reason I had to like instill this mindset in you, because I had the mindset that you had, and you saw that, so you were like, that's the smart thing to do. And back in the day, that was the smart thing to do, because it was like, it just wasn't like it is now. Like, and you can kind of speak on this, but it's like you kind of got to get away from the rigidity of like knowing you got to be on a routine, and you have to like mix like the craziness and be like, hey, it's our, like, okay, I didn't get a full training camp in, I still got to go get it done, and you got to balance like being delusional and like being a realist, and knowing what you're getting into when you walk out there in situations like that. But just talk about a little bit about like how many pullouts that you've had, like last minute opponent changes last minute, and then 2, speak a little bit about like how you have to literally be ready, because your next call could be for the UFC, and it's probably going to be on 14 days or less notice.
Yeah.
So you have to like dial into a certain mentality for that.
Yes. So I've had a lot of pullouts. In one point in my career, in an 18-month span, I went through like 43 different opponents for I think like 9 different cards. So wow. Being people just pulling out left and right, like yes, no, like giving verbal agreements, stuff like that. 10-4 as a professional.
A lot of fights.
So and I've had 43 total fights. So this isn't just in MMA. This is in kickboxing. This is in boxing. This type of stuff has happened. Actually, the reason I got a professional boxing fight was that one of the guys I was boxing. I was doing a stint of like, okay, I'm just gonna work on my boxing, and I was at a pro boxing gym, and the one guy hurt his hand and was like, he's not gonna be able to fight, and I was like, I'll step in on a 3-week notice. I was like, it's just experience. Like, I don't care about it being on my record for MMA, so I was like, I'll step in, and I wound up winning, and but yeah, just kind of you're gonna get those kind of people are gonna get injured and stuff like that, and yeah, like he said, like I could be getting a call on 14-day notice, and if I'm drilling like, okay, this is the exact way this guy's gonna defend a single leg, or this is the exact way this guy's gonna defend this, and and we have someone at the gym like Matt where it's like he'll do some front flip back forward roll, and we've been training like, no, he's going to stuff the head and sprawl out, and we've been training this one thing, and it's like, and he does some crazy wild like athletic movement. It's like you can't train for that, so it's like you just kind of have to be ready, and you can't like get so rigid. And like I remember you would do your deep half sequence. It'd be like deep half to weight or sweep, or deep half to wrestle up. You were like, if I get stuck on the ground, I'm getting right to here. I get stuck on the ground, boom, I'm getting right to here. I mean, I remember seeing you and Devin just drilling it for hours and being like, okay, like you have to have systems to this, right? And then where it's like that is very important. You know what I mean? You might not have a guy that reacts the way that you want him to react. Like he might not react in a jiu-jitsu manner. You might have thug jitsu in there doing some wild stuff, and you have to like kind of go with the flow on it. So you can't where you do want to prepare and see things, you also have to kind of like be willing to like just kind of just train and get best at what you're best at.
So and you brought up a really great point that kind of I thought of this question. Like one of the things that I get in trouble for is I like to attack legs, right? So I like to work off my back. Elevate, get into a leg lock or a heel hook or something like that. Mm-hmm. In MMA, you can't do that, right? You're going to get knocked out if you play off your back, right? You don't want to.
Or at the very least, maybe not knocked out, but you're going to get at least held down and burnt. I mean, not even that. Like, let's just imagine that, like, you guys are matched up enough to where, like, just the fact that you're on your back doesn't mean you're going to get hurt, So let's imagine it's a UFC fight. Both guys are there. The chances of people getting hurt, I mean, they're kind of high, but they're evenly matched. The guy on the bottom who's working to get the legs or some type of jiu-jitsu submission on him, which maybe have worked maybe 15 years ago in MMA and the UFC. Now, you're just going to spend a lot of time on bottom and expend a ton of energy. You may not even get beat. You may not even get hurt. Or you may not get, like, quote-unquote, beat up and hurt. But you will get beat, and you're going to burn a lot of energy, and it's going to, like... You're just gonna waste a lot of time doing that when you should just be getting up, like exposing your back, doing things that actually are counterproductive to jiu-jitsu.
No, but that's what I was saying. Like, how do you change your mindset from like when you're training jiu-jitsu, right?
I always talk about this.
So I would assume since you're friends with John, you like to train in gi, right? So that gives you something to grab onto. It's a different game altogether. How do you change your mindset from jiu-jitsu when you're on the ground to having to stand up and throw? Does it come naturally, or is it something you have to train yourself to basically disengage from the mats to the ring?
I honestly think that when I was a kid, it was actually easier to get up to my feet. And then I went through this jiu-jitsu period where I actually stayed on my back. Yeah. And so I feel like, because I'm like, oh, like this is where I'm comfortable. This is all the things we're learning. We're learning all these things. And then actually it wasn't until, I came back and started working. And he was like, dude, stop with that gay jiu-jitsu stuff, man. Like, get up. Like,
I love jiu-jitsu, by the way, just for the record.
Push the face. Like, push the face. Don't stop moving. Like, it's... I mean, he kind of basically said it's not jiu-jitsu. It's a fight on the ground. And you're, like, fighting your way up to your feet. And by doing that, by fighting, is like, then I start creating scrambles where these perfect jiu-jitsu scenarios can't happen. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, then you basically had to... I went from kind of like, oh, like it's kind of natural not to want to be on the ground, to learning how to be on the ground and it becoming natural to keep myself there, to having to unlearn the unnatural behavior.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
To like get back to my feet. So it's kind of been actually a roller coaster for me. And if I was to take somebody from day one, square one, like, jujitsu, I think that in jujitsu class, I would have them working back up to their feet immediately. I feel like it's a natural thing. Most people don't want to be on their back, even in a self-defense scenario. You know what I mean? In the street. So, but yeah, honestly, it's actually unlearning a lot of jujitsu. MMA is basically unlearning all that stuff. It's actually having a good top game. It feels like, to me at least, like having understanding of like pressure and a good top game and using that jiu-jitsu, and then basically creating scrambles and almost wrestling back up to your feet. So it's almost like a different sport. It's almost like you don't want to use jiu-jitsu on the bottom. You want to use movement and your actually natural things. Like think about it, when someone comes on, like if you were to be in a fight right now, you didn't know anything, you're gonna start stiff arming and like, get off me.
Yeah, that's actually good stuff. Yeah.
It's like it's just very natural. And what do we learn? We learn to like pull them into us and like wrap our legs around them and then set things up. And it's like,
it did work back in the day when nobody knew it, but now everybody knows it. So it's like the more you know, the less you do in that regard, and it has transformed the sport. And jiu-jitsu in itself has become a different sport altogether, where like you have to know leg locks in jiu-jitsu, right, Joe? Like you have to know how to untangle that. And also, I always preach to the guys, the MMA guys, I'm like, guys, like before you start working with me, like you have to go learn and have a base in jiu-jitsu. Like when you're coming to me, I can't be going over what a kimura is. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta say, like, get yourself here. And if you're like, hey, wait, what is that? You know, like I'm like, oh, dude, you gotta go learn a kimura. You know, like before you learn how to fight MMA. So I am a true believer in that. You've got to you do have to like have a fundamental understanding of the base if time permits. If you don't have time, if time doesn't permit, then just go into learning MMA as an actual sport. This is the first time I'm like saying this publicly that anybody can actually go find me saying it. So it's like recorded on the interwebs forever. But it's like, you know, before I'm like, no, you actually have to start in gi jiu-jitsu. Like I can always tell a guy who just trains no gi, you know, or who's a no gi guy, you know, like I can just tell just when I grab him and how he moves. And then a guy who does both or like primarily a gi, it's just such a much heavier, stickier top game. That's why I wish we did combat sambo here. Instead, we got to do all the other ones.
So that being said, Pat, when you're in a training camp, right? And do you basically say, all right, I've got this 8-week training camp, however long it is. Do you say, all right, we're not going to train gi, we're going to train no gi because there's going to be no gi in that ring?
Yeah, so I used to train actually a lot of gi in camp, and I felt like so scrambling to me is its own like art, and I like was losing the ability to scramble when I was training gi. So I've moved most of my training to no gi in general, and that's for the reason of like just always remembering to be able to scramble, because like he said, like when they grab you in gi, like you're stuck there for a while, and so you have to play chess. And then what we just said a couple of minutes ago is like MMA is checkers, man. It's like, get off of me. It's like, you know, people want to talk about it being chess. It's like you go grab a football player that's never wrestled before or whatever and try to take him down. It's like he's going to be shoving your head and like doing natural movements not to get down to the ground.
I would pull guard on him, but yeah, you're right.
So so that's what I mean by I think like for me it's just I stick with no-gi just because I want to always keep my scrambles and movement going, and I think no-gi is better for cardio. So it like kind of keeps my cardio up without having to run, whereas like in the gi I can just, you know, I can get a couple of good grips and I can chill. And now you're working more like isometric strength, and you know, maybe more like your muscles might look nicer, but but for me no-gi keeps my cardio going, and it makes sure that I'm working on like my scrambling.
Yeah, it's constant movement, and scrambling. You know, we were just talking about this the other day in class. You know, just scrambling in general. Me personally, because my cardio is such trash right now. It scares the
Same.
ever loving crap out of me. You know what I mean? So that's why I've been like avoiding no-gi classes, because I've got nothing to grip. If I can grip you
Yeah,
and
but
hold you down,
what about tying up the guy's legs? You like the legs?
yeah, well, I kind of just use that strategy more for like if I'm going with like a faster opponent, because I'm 6'3",
Yeah,
I'm
that's good.
slow.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like screw scrambling, play guard. You're not an MMA fighter, so everything I just said is completely and totally irrelevant to you. You know,
Yeah.
like play guard, play the legs, 100%. You're a jiu-jitsu man. Like you gotta optimize your whole shit for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And that's like, man, go deep into the leg locks, go deep into all that stuff, and go down rabbit holes and figure out not just how to use them for submissions, how to tangle people up, how to use them for sweeps, how to use them to just bump them over, and open some
Oh,
other
sure.
stuff up.
Sure, but I've got like the one thing that I will say about my game, I got vice grips. Once I grab you, it's hard to get me off of you, like from my grips.
Dude,
So
this
I
guy
rely.
has the strongest grip ever.
We're
We're gonna
gonna
train.
put it to
Joe's
the
gonna come
test.
up to the school.
Dude, man, listen.
We're gonna train with him.
So, I don't
We're
know.
train with Joe.
I don't know. I will
That's
say
what I'm
this.
training
and
for right now.
Hopefully, one day you guys can talk to. Have you guys talked to Matt? Matt?
We're gonna have him.
Oh,
We're gonna have
because
Matt on.
He actually said he was like. I mean, he has 11 UFC fights, and he said he's like. Not one of those guys was stronger than John. I'm telling you,
Which
it's
is
like
bullshit, but
no,
it's a nice gesture
It's
for him
no.
to say
It's
that.
like I mean, the amount of people just during like we have an MMA practice, which is like the pros and amateurs. The amount of people that literally go, yeah, I just don't understand his grips, like weekly, or just like I just like we'll talk about like, oh well, no one would hold me down, and someone will be like, yeah, until John's on top of you. Like he's literally uses the example of like, yeah, unless it's a guy like John, because like that's how strong his like pressure is like we think like okay, like that's Khabib level, like that's like Islam level. It's trust me, it's I've rolled all over the world too. Like I've rolled at some of the best gyms. I've rolled with probably 40 UFC fighters, Bellator fighters, champions, and risen, and won, and hands down some of the scariest pressure.
Oh yeah.
Like
oh god.
Like for sure. For sure. No, him.
Oh,
You've rolled with him?
yeah.
No, for
not
him.
yet.
He has some of the scariest pressure out of like many those UFC dudes. I'm like it like when it comes to like definitely like grappling, like you have that. It's
Well,
I
the
appreciate
thing I'm
that.
worried
it's
about.
freakish.
What I'm worried about is we're the same weight. Even though I'm tall, I'm lanky. But
Yeah,
we're the
yeah.
same weight, so it's like
Oh, I've been grabbing up guys like you for 20 years now. I mean, this is business as usual.
Yeah.
I told him I was like at least I have like all right, he's gonna beat my ass on the mats, but I'm gonna beat his ass on the course.
no. You're in good hands, brother.
Yeah.
Oh no! You're gonna get it both. You're gonna get it on the course and on the mats.
Like obviously like my first professor Adamir Oliveira, like he's a fifth or sixth black belt under Cezino Sa. His pressure was like literally like I very rarely tap to pressure. There's one guy in the gym another purple belt that his pressure he feels like a freight train on your chest. Like it's impossible. Like when he mounts you, that's it. You're tapping the pressure because I can't breathe. Right.
Yeah.
And like so, Adamir had the worst. Carlos Eduardo was another one that when I was a blue belt, he came up from Brazil and he would just beat because we're the same size, so he'd always call me out and beat the piss out of me. But the one great thing about it is that it made like I don't think I was ever better than I was when I was a blue belt. No matter how much I've trained now, just because of from training with him, just because the beatings that he put onto me. I mean, it's priceless. So I'm looking forward to John beating my ass. It's only going to make me better.
Listen, it is. He's actually a lot nicer now. Like he's a lot nicer now. But man, listen, it's always. That's what I mean. Like I remember like going and training at a bunch of different places. Like trying to like basically like I don't know if you watch like anime. You guys remember Street Fighter Ryu? How he just like goes and trains and like. Kind of was like living that like I'm gonna go and try to soak up all of the information. And I remember being like, okay, like he used to beat my ass when I was a kid. I was like, okay, like I've gotten so much better. He's not training like a professional anymore. I'm like, I'm gonna come back and I was like, I'm gonna show him that I've gotten better from when I was a kid and he was whooping my ass. And the beating that he gave me, I literally was like, damn, he's still that fucking good. I was like, this is bullcrap. Like, there's no reason that he needs to be that good. And then I was talking to like Matt, like some of the professionals, and I was like, is this like a normal thing? And they're like, oh no, like we've been coming this long and he's still smashing us. Like people, like they told me, they were like, oh yeah, make sure you wear a mouth guard. I've never wear a mouth guard when I roll. They're like, oh, make sure you wear a mouth guard. I'm like, you guys wear mouth guards? They're like, only when we roll with John. I'm like, that's that's the pressure that they put. They're like, it feels like your jaw is like breaking.
Well, you know, the only reason I was just gonna say all this because he's just said all these nice things though, but it's like, I love just I do go hard in practice, but I'm not a spaz or anything like that. No. I'm like totally in control, and I can go appropriately with everybody for sure. I mean, this is a guy who's about to get into the UFC. You know, so like when me and him go, I'm fighting for my life. He's a big ass dude. You know, he's like 6'1", 2 something. So it's like I got to give everything I got, and I still love doing it. So every practice, like I even though I'm feeling like crap, I'm like, I just love going as hard as I can. And honestly, like I love just doing it and practicing in it more. And I love competing. I really did. But like I definitely left all my best stuff in the practice room because I just loved training so much and just like always just immersing myself in it. You know, like you said, you felt your best when you were getting your ass whoopings when you were a blue belt. Like I felt my best as a person when I was like in the thick of training camps, having to be the most disciplined version of myself, you know? And then when I retired and joined the corporate world, I was like, all right, I'm going to relive my 20s. I missed my entire 20s, you know? Now I'm like 39. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, what the, I gotta reel it back and get back into my, I gotta dial back into my GSP mode a little bit, you know? Yeah. So it's like, I love how all the guys still think that, like I'm relevant in the room because that's like that's what I always want to be. I just want to be part of the, like, not just a coach and stuff like that, but I also want to be like one of the guys on the mats that can give you guys good rounds and stuff like that. And all the stuff he's saying, you guys have to understand that, like the class, like when I train with Pat, we're doing like very specified things. So it's like, hey, start in this position, start in that position. So it's like I'm already in good spots where I'm able to like fucking really clamp them down and smash these guys, you know. And I'm a jiu-jitsu man. Like they're not jiu-jitsu men. They're actual fighters. Like Pat's like a way more well-rounded fighter than I ever was, you know. But like my actual specialty, I had to be rigid in jiu-jitsu to even have a shot at doing what I did. But like you know, I mean, like Pat in a regular MMA fight, you know, I mean, for me to be able to get into these positions that he's talking about, just smash him. I mean, I'm gonna have to. You got to do a whole lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, I just love training. You know, so that's why I go hard all the time.
But also too, like, because a lot of people do talk about like how strong he is and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm like, and it plays in so well with something that we talked about earlier, where it's like, I think the best thing sometimes for you was like those systems, because that strength, and then knowing like I just used all of this energy to try to move, and that's what he wanted. I mean, literally, I'm like, I'm going to use all my energy to try to get out, and he already has step 2 and 3 ready. Like, it's not like you just were like, oh, I'm just going to be strong and just smash this dude. You're like, I'm going to be strong in this spot and make him move and blend it with technique and make him move where I want him to move. And now you're just I tell him, like, it's like when I go with him, it's like I know I know once he gets certain grips, I'm in his web, and like it's almost like it's almost like I'm drowning, and I'm like trying to fight to be alive. It's like if I cannot let him get like certain grips, because like once he gets settled into like certain things, you're just like again, you're not only dealing with the strength, but you're dealing with like he knows A to B, B to C, C to A back to C. But
now you know where it's like make it the battle to stop from those even things from transpiring. It's like, man, so Pat, I love just still being in it. You know?
Pat, we have to talk offline. You got to give me some tips on how to deal with him. You know, some of his weak points, if you will.
Dude, you need to make him roll for a whole hour right before class, and then hope he's tired.
I got like a 45-minute like shelf life on me.
All right, so if classes start at 7, I'll see you at 8.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Pat, what was the promotion that you're fighting in again?
I'll be fighting on Fight World.
Fight World.
And yep, Fight World. I don't think that there's anything else to that. I think it's just Fight World and
Fight World 30 something.
Yeah.
I happen to also be involved in that promotion. I am a color commentator and the ring announcer.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I also I moonlight as an MMA promoter, matchmaker, and ring announcer and color commentator, and I've reffed a couple of super fight grappling matches.
Yeah, yeah.
And did stand-up commentary in between.
Actually, people were saying like during some of those things, like he was literally the best part because he was just like, what was? It was just some of like his like one-offs. Everybody around.
Joe, we were running an MMA event,
up.
500 people there, and I'm like the MC of the thing, the ring announcer, the color commentator, the grappling referee.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot goes into that. Like after a fight, the ring announcer, he's got to go in there, talk to the commission, and they give you a paper with like scribble on it, and it's like the judges' names and what. And you know when they're like, and Judge Garcia has it 32-27. It's like that's just scribble scrabble on a thing.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm running back and forth. I was like, by the end of the night, I'm like, all right, folks, there we go. The next guy's coming out. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. It's like,
yeah. It was good. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
So all right, so this promotion, like I think John had mentioned earlier, this is kind of like the Corn Ferry Tour, or like the promotion that's right under the UFC. So what's it going to take for you to get into the UFC?
Well, so like all of the kind of regional promotions are
the Corn Ferry Tour. That's the stage that he's at. Yeah. Like I would say, Fight World. I wouldn't say, and this is a promotion that I'm involved with heavily. So like business wise, so it's not like I'm disparaging Fight World by any means, but Fight World's certainly not like a premier regional organizations, but we absolutely have guys that are getting regional fights like right before they get into the UFC. Like that's how like kind of the fight game is, just like in golf where there'll be a guy that plays on some mini tour or even in a skins match before he's able to secure get an alternate call to get on the tour or something. So that's where he's at. It's like more of an opportunity. Fight World's like more of an opportunity for guys like him to stay active and get like an opponent that makes sense, that is like a good opponent to go out there, test their skills against, and then just stay active. Like that's the most important thing where you're at right now, Pat. Right?
Yeah. I'm basically just trying to get wins and stay active. I feel like I performed. One of my best years was when as a professional, was when I fought. Was able to fight 3 times. By that third fight, I had literally the best performance ever that I'd ever had. Like just mentally, really, it was mentally. And I was so dialed in because it was just like making the walk felt. It was the first time that I didn't have like crazy nerves because it was just like at the professional level, and so I was like, oh, like this is just like another day. I've already done this 3 times, like 2 other times this year. So just getting back to being active, and right now it's kind of hard, where it's like I'm on a 3-fight win streak, and it's like, people want to fight you, but at their terms, at their home, hometown advantage,
right.
Only giving you 3 weeks, or this person and that, and it's like kind of, it is a business at the end of the day, and right. So everyone's like looking out for themselves, and so yeah, just really, it's for me, it's like I want to stay active, I want to get another win, keep my win streak going, and if I keep winning, it just moves me up to hopefully be seen by somebody that can make a call and give me that 2-week notice, fight whatever notice, and just be ready for whatever.
And you said you fought 3 times. Is that your average per year? Like 3 fights per year?
Honestly, no, probably not. I mean, probably 2 times a year is like the average. Yeah, which I want it to be 3, but Maryland kind of has a thing where it's like they only have 1 promotion, and where every other state, like New Jersey, has 5 different promotions running, 2 different promotions per month that people can jump on. But Maryland's not like that, and we make a lot of our money from ticket sales. You know, like it takes a lot for us to be able to travel and do that stuff, right? So, and also sponsors, right? Like people want to sponsor the local guy to get their business shouted out. So, to make any type of money too, you kind of have to stay close to local.
Mhm.
And so because of that, you know, we're kind of very limited. You know, it's the crab, I always say, is the best representation of Maryland, because we literally are crabs in a barrel just pulling down each other. We're fighting each other, which has started to change recently. I will say our MMA promotion has kind of changed that. Like, we've been actually fighting people outside of Maryland. But yeah, like, you know, and only having those 2 shows a year, it is. And no amateur feeding organizations either, or because there's no amateur MMA in Maryland as well. So, you know, Maryland is a tough state to make it in. Even though we have some of the best fighters, we normally have to take crappy opportunities in other states and other, you know, at other promotions. And so, you know,
You'll never be an A-side fighter being a Maryland guy.
Yeah.
Never.
So
Very rare exceptions to that.
yeah.
So if you said that there's no there's no amateur like fight promotions, right? So then, so the only way to basically start, you know, in the amateur fighting ring in Maryland is to go out of state.
Yes, to go out of
Virginia
state,
is where I fought all my amateur fights in Virginia. Some people do them in PA. PA has different rules.
Yep.
There's not no ground and pound allowed. There's no elbows. Virginia is like literally the wild, wild west. It might as well be like Japanese MMA because they allow everything except for like soccer kicks.
And then it's like headgear, shin.
Not in Virginia. Amateur MMA is just pro rules.
Yep, it's pro rules.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I think that there needs to be a huge overhaul.
Yeah,
honestly.
and I like the pro rules in Virginia. I think there needs to be spots for guys to go fight and get that ready. I actually like exactly how it's set up. I don't think there needs to be any more government regulation within MMA. Got a lot of bureaucrats that are working at all the athletic commissions, and we've dealt with these people for a long time, so don't need any more of them. Okay, but it's like I do like how PA has like they have different tiered systems for amateur MMA, where it's like the beginner tier is like they've got shin pads on and like and then like no head kicks,
no head kicks, no ground and pound,
and then they got like advanced rules where there's no shin pads, but there's still no like elbows and stuff like that. And but it's pretty pro, like, you know,
which
those
are
good.
I like that. I wish that you didn't have to, like, so again, they want you to sell tickets at these shows too as an amateur, and like that's my number one thing is like these boxers that get 40 to 140 fights, they fight at regular gyms that have 20 people on the card. They weigh in the same day. You know what I mean? It's like I think that there could be we could steal a little bit of that, where it's like we're getting more experience because, like he said, right? Like these sambo guys, like he talked about sambo earlier, right? These sambo guys are getting 200 sambo matches, which is basically MMA with a gi top on, and it's like we're not going to be able to do that based off of the model that America has right now with amateur MMA. And we're not going to be able to do that because, you need to sell tickets. Everybody thinks they need a full camp. Like, you're literally teaching amateurs, like, oh, yeah, you need a full 8-week camp. We need to research your... Like, they have it completely, but you have to sell tickets. If you don't sell tickets, we're going to make sure that you fight the Division I wrestler from our... It's, like, very, very, like, backwards.
It's a dirty, disgusting game.
Yeah, and
I was saying, I mean, it's
and that's why I think like doing same day weigh-ins. I think doing it at regular places where they just charge $20 at a gym that has a cage at it, and it's like not all these promoters and all this shit is making money, and it's actually growing the sport where it's like, okay, these people can do it because they're not cutting weight. They can do it every weekend. Like these boxers do. Some of these boxers will get 20 fights in a year. Like Gervonta Davis had 200 something. And Dimitri Bivol had 300 something. It's like in like MMA is never going to have that with the current structure, and so I don't think that we're going to see like the best Americans coming out. Whereas like you have like you said, the sambo, you have and you have kids MMA in Russia and stuff like that. So it's like those regions are going to start taking over because they're going to be exposed to it at an earlier age, and we're going to basically see them just crushing people until America can come along and change some of these things. But
And what do you
greed and
think?
stuff like that is
Yeah, you answered my question. So I was going to say, what do you think causes? What do you think causes
greed.
that wall?
Greed.
Yeah.
It's super cheap to not pay people to fight and make them sell tickets, and you know what I mean, so that you can make money. It's like that's all it is. It's like,
The reality though of it is that the majority of these promotions aren't making money, but they're willing to just do all the shady stuff just to make ends meet on a show.
yeah,
Okay, I'm telling you guys, like some of these promotions are making money, like CFFC's profitable, like ROC's profitable, Shogun's profitable,
Shogun's
but like
profitable.
Fight World is not a profitable organization. Like that is put on out of the goodness of Steven Gogler's heart.
Yeah.
And to like because he loves MMA. He's a golfer too. We should golf with him, Joe. You would like him. But he's like he does it just out of the goodness of his heart, and then like still. When I'm matchmaking people, they're like, I'm not, fuck that. You guys are setting me up. I'm like, bro, I swear to God on my life, I'm not setting you up.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can fight whoever, you just pick a guy on my thing. You fight him. I'm not trying to, what I'm saying? I'm literally desperate for a fight at this point. The car is about to fall through, and we've had shows fall through, where thousands of dollar deposit is lost and stuff like this, So it's just the issue is that it's like it's a new sport that came out in like the 90s here, and it's like it's just been kind of super grassroots, and then some people can come in and make money like the UFC and other promotions like we're talking about, then other people are just trying it, but there's no barrier to entry, so like anybody with enough money can get a cage and then just get guys around there, and then they're just following a blueprint. Like the blueprint is get fighters on your card, get them to sell tickets so that you can fund the show and pay them, some small amount of money. But it just always, it's like even the promoters don't really know how to set up a show. They're thinking that like the people at the show are coming to watch the entire show. At these shows, that level, it's not happening. Everybody there is coming to watch that one person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's like playing in a band and selling tickets for a gig. It's the same
Yep.
thing. I went through that when I played in metal bands and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you'd have
it is the same thing because if you bomb at a concert like that, it sucks just like getting your ass kicked half naked in the cage.
Oh, you'd walk into the place and there's this band, the opening band coming up, and it's packed out. There's 100 people that like standing room only, shoulder to shoulder. And you're like, oh, this is gonna be a great show. We sold a lot of tickets. Then you're on
tumbleweeds.
Later, and you're playing to 8 people. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Crickets.
It's the same thing. That's crazy. I mean, I listen. I know you guys. You guys struggle with that. Like, what did you think of, when the UFC went with Reebok? Do you remember, like years back, they basically told all the fighters, "Hey, we don't care about your sponsors. No more sponsored shorts. No more sponsored banners behind you." What did you think of when they made that change? Because I know it pissed me off a little bit.
I actually think the uniforms like kind of look nice. I like that it looks like a uniform sport. I do think that the banners should be allowed though. Like I get it, right? They don't want like dildos.com on their thing, when kids and stuff are watching. They want it to be more, mainstream. So yeah, there should be some vetting of some of those sponsors, but I think that I think just allowing banners and maybe even allowing like 2 sponsors on the custom shorts as long as they're approved like weeks in advance or whatever. I think that would be helpful, but I actually like the way I like that it looks uniform. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch old fights, and you see training mask across the guy's ass, or you see like
Condom Depot was huge when I first
you see like, what is it, daddy.com or what? Remember
GoDaddy.com.
That's
those URLs. Yeah, I do business with GoDaddy.
It's like you see that like across them. It's like it's actually now that I've seen for years uniforms and then not that, I do appreciate that because like when you look at the NFL, right, like everyone looks like they're supposed to be there. They're wearing their jersey. They're wearing things. So I kind of
I know, but we're not the
like
NFL. I kind of hate how they're trying to make us like the NFL.
Yeah.
No, but
Screw
here,
the
here,
NFL.
but check this. But what I heard from a couple of like undercard fighters, right? They're maybe making $2,000 to fight, right? On the UFC.
That's not true. That's not true. But
No, wait, hold on. Take it
Okay.
easy. I'm just throwing a number out there. But maybe it's $5,000 to fight, right? Whatever it is.
It's 12 and 12.
Yeah.
Listen, we're talking like 15 years ago. Like that's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're talking like when Frankie Edgar was at. Like,
Yeah.
Well, they're probably making 10,000. There's probably 10,000.
Regardless.
Yeah, those guys took a gigantic hit. You're absolutely right about that.
But those guys, right? If you're getting if you have your sponsors all over your short and on your banner, right? That's where they're making a large sum of money. Unless because how many people are going to be GSP Conor McGregor where they're getting freaking $500,000 purses, and it doesn't matter whether they win, lose, or draw, they're making $500,000. Right,
but they don't say that you're not allowed to have sponsors. They just say you're not allowed to wear them on your stuff. So like you're allowed to have sponsors leading up to it. Like all the way through, you're allowed to like post about sponsors. You're allowed to like. So I just think that it's honestly one of the things that I heard is that happened, and he probably would know more because he actually was out there like with Mike Eason and stuff like that.
I was in there before this thing. Yeah. It was a way different vibe in 2013.
I heard the UFC used to have a thing where they basically once a year would bring the UFC fighters and teach them how to make money and market themselves. They'd be like, "Hey, this is what you need to do," yada yada yada. And I heard that they stopped doing that.
They had it was an athlete conduct retreat where they would teach. It was like a 3-day symposium that they would have in Vegas. And they bring all the fighters there, and they say, "Hey, this is how to run your social media. This is how to act like an athlete and all that."
Yeah.
But they stopped doing that, and I don't want to say anything too crazy on the UFC because all of our fans are going to clip this and send it to them. All right, but I'm going to say this: they're out of the business now of like making stars. You're not going to have another Conor McGregor. You will never have another Ronda Rousey or John Jones or Brock Lesnar, and that is all by design. They're not going to allow that to happen because as much publicity that Conor brought them, he actually got bigger than the sport itself, and it's like it cost them a gigantic headache on a lot of money in residual effects, and that like literally every single knucklehead fighter thinks he's Conor McGregor, and it's kind of starting to die down now, but for like. From 2017 to 2020, every guy was like dressed in a skin tight outfit and talking shit.
I agree.
Stop it.
I think that the overcorrection is going to be overcorrected again. Like I think like he's right. I think like they made this star that kind of outgrew this that got bigger.
He transcended like MMA, and it was really crazy for.
Yeah,
and everybody got it was just like such a weird time.
Yeah, but I do think they're gonna need to get so that's the thing is like they kind of went away from creating stars because like they realized the headache that it caused. But they're also now realizing they're looking at their pay-per-view numbers dropping. They're looking at a lot of things dropping, and they're realizing like they might not need superstars, but they still need stars. So I think that we are gonna get back into that like star. I don't think we'll ever probably have another Conor McGregor. For another,
you guys want to get into some real inside baseball of some MMA and UFC is what is really about to go down is they're gonna sign a deal with Netflix.
You think so?
Yeah, that's like the real big rumbling on the streets is they're gonna sign with Netflix. ESPN's not happy. They're not happy with ESPN. ESPN fucked that whole thing up. By the way, the app sucked.
Yeah, it does.
Terrible, terrible.
Didn't they, what was
UI
that
UX
that was on Netflix? It was streamed live. It was one of
those.
It was
Jake Paul versus Tyson.
Yes,
so Netflix is in the fight business. They're interested in the UFC. This is what I'm hearing from my sources. All right. So the game is going to change. Dana's like I don't think Dana White's going to be involved in the UFC forever and much longer. And I think that the people that are going to get involved with the UFC now. UFC, if you go on your Disney Plus app at home, you can watch UFC from Disney Plus.
Really?
Yes. Okay, so the people that are going to be running the UFC soon are the people that are running the programming on Disney and all that stuff.
Yeah. So we saw like seeing a lot of
Yeah.
Peyton Talbots and stuff like that.
I think it's just gonna be you're gonna see like Tom Cruise fighting Justin Bieber or something like that. I think that's what you're in store for here.
Yeah.
You know,
Speaking of crazy fights, Pat, if you could fight any past UFC fighter or present UFC fighter, who would you fight?
that's a good question, Joe.
Yeah, I got a lot of them.
I'd probably say GSP just so that I can be like I shared the cage with GSP because so when I started boxing, my uncle showed me a video of him and was like, dude, why are you just boxing? Like, look what this guy could do to you. And I literally was like, no, he couldn't. No, he couldn't. I mean, I was like 13. I was like, no, he couldn't do that to me. I was like, these guys just can't box. And he literally just kept double legging this striker, and that's when I transitioned to like doing wrestling. So GSP because he was like my first favorite MMA fighter. He was my introduction to the sport.
He was the best.
Yeah, he's like inspiration. Like so yeah, probably like there's a saying where it's like let your idols become your rivals or whatever. So it's like not a rival, but like I would like to share I would have loved to have been able to share the octagon with him because I think that would have. I feel like you learn something from every fight, whether you win, whether you lose.
Like, sure, you get the rub.
And to know what that feels like, you know what I mean? Like, people talk about him in training rooms and, like, how it's like a truck parked. Same way I'm talking about him, it's like they say that about GSP. They're like, it's like a truck parked on top of your chest. Like, you're not moving if he doesn't want you to move. And it's like, I would love to, know what that feels like. You know what I mean? I would love that, for sure.
Well, he trains a lot with Gordon Ryan. So
Yeah, he does. Yes.
So those are two of the greatest, in the Brazilian no gi jiu-jitsu realm.
I heard he retired. I heard Gordon retired.
Oh, really?
Or hinted at retire. I heard that's like there was rumors that he retired and that like he's not going to be grappling anymore, and that like kind of that's why New Wave is going to the CJI too, because it's like Gordon's done. So Danaher's like, okay, like we'll bring the New Wave people will bring a team to the CJI too. Again, that's like I'm going off of Instagram rumors right now, not like good sources. Like
this is like Magnus Carlsen rumor in the chess world.
Yeah. I'm like, so I don't know, but
listen, Gordon Ryan, he's a local Jersey guy, so of course I'm pulling for him, but I know he had some massive digestive issues or stomach problems and whatnot. But yeah, I hope for the best for him. For regardless of what he does, I love Gordon Ryan. So I would love to see him compete again. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah,
right.
He's a great instructor too. Like he can have a career instructing. Like I've had some of his instructionals. He's like a faster version of Danaher. So if like you don't want to sit through Danaher's like long 40-minute explanation to get one technique, he does it in like half the less than half, like probably a fourth of the time. So if it takes him 40 minutes, it takes Gordon only 10. So he's like a faster version of him. So you're still getting all those gems just at a little bit faster of a rate. So he's a great instructor as well. So it's like his career doesn't have to be over just because he is like he could coach champions too. I mean, he was a champion, so it's like his mindset,
Does any part of you think that, like, since I believe this is maybe like the 14th retirement an instant or stint that he's had, that is just like another thing where he's like, hey, just like throw something out there, create some.
It could be, but like with the obviously like with him coming out, like basically he's on steroids. Like we know that with all of the antibiotics that he was taking that completely wrecked his gut health, we already know that steroids like mess up your heart, mess up your gut. So it's like he had a double whammy of of an effect. So it's like it really might be something medical he could never come back from. Like he might die at 35.
Allegedly, he took steroids.
No, he's pretty open about it.
He's open.
He's
lately
about been like, the last like 2 years
guys,
he's been
relax. Jesus Christ, I know. I see. You guys forget. I actually known who he was since he was 13 years old, getting beat by my boy DJ Jackson. Okay, multiple times. Him and his boy Gary. But Yeah,
Gary
so,
Tony?
bro, I'm just being me, okay? I'm just being real.
Well, that fight was at Grappler's Quest in Jersey, wasn't it?
But DJ 6-0 versus both.
But no, against DJ.
Yeah.
Gary Tony, wasn't that at a Grappler's Quest?
It was
I'm pretty
at a
sure I
Grappler's
was
Quest,
there.
yeah.
I was competing. That's like, yeah, it's crazy how long ago.
Anyways, I don't want to. I love Gary Tonin and Gordon Ryan. They're awesome. So
yeah, they're I think that they were good.
Real Creante tonight.
They were good for the sport.
For you're at an enemy gym. Give them props to fucking
No. They were
New
good
Jersey people.
The thing is they were good for the sport. They were good for the sport. I feel like that.
Yes,
jiu-jitsu has
absolutely.
Jiu-jitsu has never been as profitable for people that want to do jiu-jitsu, and it's because of Gordon, and unfortunately it did take someone to talk shit to like care, and I do think Craig is kind of helping with his like funniness, even though it's a little like too much on the gay side for me. I'm like, it's not like I don't like
Christians. That. You guys can
yeah. No, like I mean, not even just
I'm a Catholic too.
Just not even the Christian part. It's just like it's like, dude, you're 30, man. It's like, man, we're like that shit was funny when I was 18. It's like the humor has to like get a little elevated.
I mean, you're 30 and have wife and kids, so you're like a mature man. He's probably still like, mentality wise,
that's true.
Immature.
That's true.
And that's all right. He's playing. That's his mentality.
Listen, that's the role he plays.
Growth is different. Yeah, everybody's journey is different because it's not. I'm sure he'll meet a beautiful woman and do his thing if he wants to do that one day, and then it'll change when that happens.
Craig is actually also a pretty great instructor too. I have a couple of his.
All those guys are good. They all are experts at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, sometimes you get stuff and you're like, I don't know if this guy's just because he's good doesn't mean he can teach. Actually, likes the way that he breaks.
I mean, they were taught by
like,
Donner, who's like a PhD in philosophy.
Yeah, that's true.
From Columbia University. So it's like,
no, but
they're mentored by him. Of course, they're going to be good.
That's true.
For sure, I give them all the props for that in that regard. Yeah, absolutely.
So
and they're
Pat,
beasts. Like they talk shit and beat everybody up.
So Pat, you also teach, right? So tell me about your teaching. What do you teach?
Yeah. So I teach mainly striking, and I also will. So I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So I will teach jiu-jitsu, but I mainly teach striking, and I run a striking program at Conquest, which is a gym in Anne Arundel County, and so it's like it's in the Millersville area, and I've been kind of heading up that program, been putting people in place, like writing out the curriculum and the structure for that to like build that up, and my whole life has been dedicated to martial arts. It's what I love to do. So it was always something that I was going to do was teach, and I've been teaching for I've been teaching for us like longer than some people have been training, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you've been involved in full time in martial arts since I've known him. It's like when you want to be a fighter, it's like you can't survive just off of fighting in the beginning. But if you want to immerse yourself in it, then you have to like teach and do all this stuff, which brings in all types. It's hard to balance, right?
Yes, I mean some people will get burned out. Like I've been doing, like I said, I have 21 years of like experience, and I've probably been teaching for 14 of those years. Mm-hmm. And I know I've seen so many people come and go and get burned out. You have to have a real like passion for this, and you have to really like, you also can't look at, like a lot of people look at fighting as just like, they let fighting use them, and I never was going to be like that. I use fighting. I'm not going to let fighting use me. So what I mean by that is like, I let fighting teach me about life. Like, my dad wasn't around, so fighting was my dad. People at the gym were my dad, and training camps taught me discipline. You know what I mean? Like, training camps taught me certain things about myself. Like, I started doing this thing where I'd add a positive and take a negative away from my life each training camp of like, I'm going to add this in and take this away to like become a better person. It was like almost like literally, like martial arts I'd say was my dad. So it was like literally teaching me to become a man. So I like use fighting, and I don't let fighting use me. Like, I'm at the end of this, I want to be better. I want to be a better person than when I, entered into it. So, a lot of people, like you see, like they'll let fighting break them, and so it really becomes about like, I think to do this as long as I have and like not have those burnouts and stuff like that. And I'm not saying like not being like, what the hell, like not having like I've had rough days. It's not like I've been skipping through flowers every single day. I've had rough days, but to just be like, hey, I'm completely done with this whole life. Which I've seen a lot of people happen, where it's like I don't want to teach, I don't want to do anything.
For sure, I went through this exact thing you're talking about, 100%.
And that's when you start like letting fighting like use you a little bit. Which I'm saying something that I'm seeing. I'm not saying that that's what you went through, but something that I see like they like. I've been like slowly detaching my identity away from fighting too, because I am getting older and I know that fighting is going to end. And I'm never going to get a high like this again. And so it's like I've slowly been detaching my identity of like I'm not Patrick the fighter. It's like I've slowly been like it's what I do and what I love to do, but it's not who I am. And
it's a part of you. It'll always be a part of you. You know, it's part of your story. And it's part of who you were in your history. Yeah. You've given so much of it that people will always. They're going to know you as you. Yeah, and they'll always also respect that you did that.
Yeah. And so I'm slowly doing that as well, just so that I'm stay grounded when I'm done. Because, I've gone through times where it's like I haven't been having fights, and your identity gets shaken a little bit. Especially, like I said, when I went through that 18-month of no fights, having all those posts, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for money? Like, what am I going to do for this, that, third? And it's like all those lessons, I realized like, oh, well, I've already had that lesson, and so now I'm like, okay, well, when fighting is done, I don't want to have to go through what I went through at that stage of my life. So I need to start transitioning my mindset now into like almost, and honestly, I feel like I fight better like that too. Like kind of going off topic, but I believe that there's two types of fighters, and there's fire fighters, and then there's ice. There's like ice, so there's cool-headed people, and it's like for a long time I fought with this fire inside of me, this like flame, this anger. And where you have like these cool, like calculated people, like the GSPs, the people who don't need to have any emotion, right? There's people who need emotion and people who don't need emotion. I don't like when people say like, no, you should go in with no emotion. It's like there are Cody Garbrandts out there who literally once he reached his goal and had no emotion attached to him, where he became a shell of himself. He needed that like anger to drive him, right? So as I'm getting away from that angry side and like kind of slowly shifting my mindset and having to use that like cool side. At first there was some like bumps in the road. There's some questions that I had, but honestly I feel like I'm freer. I actually feel like I am like, this is the better version of me, because the fire won't consume me, and like the results don't matter. They matter, but they don't matter at the same time. Like I'm not like living for the results, so I can go and this last fight that I had, like I threw spinning back kicks, I threw like jump knees, I threw things that I never really throw, because it was like I felt freer to do that, because it wasn't like I need to be very, very rigid and only do these things because like I have to win, and like I have to be angry to win, and I have to do, you know what I mean? It was a little bit different. Sorry if I rambled there, but hopefully that made a little sense.
No, and it kind of segues really well into the next question that I had. Is that one of the things that we joke about, like in my gym, is that, for myself, and I can't speak to you. That's why I'm asking you this question. But for myself, jujitsu helps me with helps me keep me grounded, obviously humble, right? Because you know those days, like there's some days you walk into the gym and you can steamroll through anybody, or you feel like you, and then the very next day you're getting tapped by white belts, right? And it's just like, wow, like I need to humble myself, right? But the mental health aspect, like what is the martial arts? Because like, I know you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but you're a more well-rounded MMA fighter. What does the martial arts do for your mental health? Like, do you use it as an outlet to keep you grounded? Or would you say maybe you go more towards your faith for that?
I definitely use my faith to keep me more grounded. Martial arts has been used as a tool to. Martial arts actually is used has over the recent years since I've gotten to faith has used as a tool to keep me more disciplined in my faith. Right. You know what I mean? Because like I do believe that you need to honor your body. I do, and those are things that martial arts taught me that I'm bringing into my faith. of like honoring your body, fasting, eating properly, like honoring your work, like letting your work, like going in and working really hard, which is something that is we're called to do in the Bible, is like to like
Right.
have the sweat of the brow, like what is it, like in the very first part of Genesis, like after sin falls into the earth, right? Like he goes like, hey, well, you're gonna work the ground until the sweat of your brow, or I forgot exactly what it's saying, but like basically you're gonna be working hard, like
It's
because
all
of your
good,
sin
dude.
you have to work hard.
I'm not a
And
pastor. I'm not judging you on it.
and no. So my thing is that I think that like I work extremely hard when I'm training, and I let that training be an outlet for my faith, and then also like realizing too that it is a fleshly, like being a martial artist can make my faith stronger by being disciplined, but being a fighter is a fleshly desire. So
Right.
balancing that line of like not letting my like fleshly desire of like, man, I want to be in the UFC, and like and putting it as an idol or
Right.
on a pedestal, which I have done before, and it's been a major problem because nothing should be an idol above God, right? And when you're
Right.
putting that like those three letters at like I'll do anything for that, the enemy is easily able to be like, oh, you'll do anything for that, okay, here, let's compromise your morals, which are derived from the Bible, you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I would say that martial arts actually, now that I'm thinking about it, actually allows me to be of service to people, especially teaching. It allows me to be of service to the people and give back to people, and like basically I learned all of this stuff, and I get to turn around and put my hand out and pull people up that need to be pulled up, like that are struggling with mental health issues, and they need my help, or struggling with identity issues and they need my help, or struggling with this, that, or the third. So it's really about giving back, staying disciplined, and all of those things are what God calls us to do in the Bible, is to be of service to others, be disciplined with the body that he gave us. And so I think that actually martial arts and my faith kind of play hand in hand. So yeah, I'd say that my faith keeps me grounded, and martial arts helps with that.
Right. And to give you some Bible verses, one Bible verse that I've been kind of working on and working on doing better for myself is Colossians 3, 23 through 24, that states, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. That's something that I try to read it every day. I still haven't put it to memory yet. But that's one thing that, listen, I'm not a professional fighter. As I said, when I go to the gym, like tomorrow at 6 a.m., I'm going to release stress, to kind of, I don't care what happens. I don't care if I get tapped out 20 times, or I don't care if I tap 20 people. I'm just going for that stress relief, right? So it's a different world for me. Just like when I get on the golf course, the same thing. I'm going out there to enjoy myself, to release stress.
Yeah.
But I have to kind of keep that same focus in, my day job, where it's just like, hey, you don't want to do something that your boss tells you to do, but I have to look at it and constantly remind myself, like, I'm doing this for the Lord. I'm not doing it for me. I'm not doing it for my ego. I'm doing this like I'm building up my heavenly treasures instead of my earthly treasures. No, that's
absolutely.
An awesome point. That's
Absolutely.
An awesome point.
Yeah.
Dude,
I when you don't, but like even when you're saying like your boss asks you to do something, like how many times like to be a good leader you have to be able to be led, you know what I mean?
Right.
And at certain times, like you have to be led by your boss, and sometimes it might be the wrong thing, but that's where you keep faith, right? If you keep faith and you know that God's not going to lead you into the wrong thing, right? Like a lot of times God has intervened in a lot of ways that I didn't realize until I looked back, and I realized like, oh, he kept like putting these like lampposts for me to like walk back to him, because like I didn't grow up in a faith house, right? So he actually put people in my life at gyms that like I was like, oh, like they would talk to me about it, like Ron Stallings and stuff like that. Like, and I was like, oh, what is he talking? What is this he's talking about? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But because of that, like he kept putting these lampposts for me to like kind of like get back to him, and the thing is, this is I had to be led by certain people to be led back to him, and I feel like, you know, now that I'm a husband that leads a family, now that I'm a head instructor for a strength program, and I lead other instructors, and then I also have to lead classes and stuff like that. It's like the only reason that I'm able to do that is because I learned how to be led, and obviously that's from God, right? So it's like we're always called, especially in the Bible, to like, you know, even to slaves, he said like, hey, like do what they say, like, you know, and you know you'll be honored. And a lot of times, right, if bad things were happening, you know, not all the time, but, you know, a lot of times, you know, his intervention will come in just a way you might not expect. That like boss might be like, hey, you actually were right, you know, like. But if you do things diligently and for him and for that faith, like you, a lot of times, like I said, he'll come and guide that ship right back to where you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Amen, dude. No, that's awesome. Guys, this was amazing. Pat, thank you for coming on the show. Is anything you want to plug other than your fight, your IG?
Not really, man. Like, LifeMed. I want to shout out my sponsor, LifeMed. They've been sponsoring me for, you know, the last few years, last couple fights, and you know, they're really amazing. They're opening up all over. They have 5 different locations, and they do, you know, injections for vitamins. They do vitamin IVs. They do like lip injections. They do like a bunch of different stuff.
He doesn't get any of the injections because, you know, MMA fighters aren't allowed to take injectable things, though, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll get. We're allowed to get the IV, so I get immunity IV, which gives you like zinc, magnesium, everything to basically make sure you don't get sick.
All legal stuff.
All legal, yeah, stuff. But they're absolutely amazing. So other than that, not really, man. I just just come to the gym, man. I just would shout out, you know, Conquest, where I teach, Crazy 88. They're 2 amazing gyms. Both have been very impactful in my life, and everybody should come and check them out. And even if you stay for a month or for 10 years, you know, because you might get that bug. Like, I think that everybody should step on the mats and find out what it's about, like whether it's for you or not, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Training's for everybody, competing not for everybody. But folks, type in Pat Rivera MMA on Google. Look at his fights. He's 10-4 as a professional fighter. You know, like that's high up there. That's a high record. It's a winning. It's like a very good winning record. So he's sitting here talking to us on the Golf Jitsu podcast. You know, it could be in the UFC literally any month now. So like, just look him up and support if you can. And you can say that you were like, you know, you found him when he was like on, you know, a super famous podcast, but you know, but you can say that you found him on there, and you know, before he was in the UFC, and when he was a lesser known fighter, he was on a big podcast. And no, just kidding. But look him up, support him if you can. You know, like just like small businesses, regional fighters are the same thing. We need your help. They need your help. So that they can keep continuing trying to do what they're doing. They're like starving artists. Like they're martial artists for real. Like, so support and follow them. What's your
So my Instagram handle was at Rebels MMA, and then that's my basically gonna be my fight page. I'm actually transferring everything over. I have a personal page, but my fight page is gonna be Rebels MMA. So at Rebels and then MMA, no underscore, no nothing like that.
Wow, that handle is available?
Yep.
Wow. Crazy. All right.
Yeah. Thanks again, man.
Meant to
Appreciate
be.
you coming
Thank you.
on, and I look forward to getting my ass handed to me by both.
Dude, I want to be there.
Oh, we'll all train together for sure.
Hey, listen, I want to be there because,
dude, I'm only a purple belt, man. Come on, you guys are black belt.
We got some purple belts there for you.
Dude, I'm not
some
gonna
blue
lie.
belts.
Listen. I've been to a lot of gyms, and I feel like, you know, I've competed in black belt tournaments, and I've won. Like I've won gold at tournaments as a black belt.
Yeah,
There's a level to 88. There's a level to 88 that like that you realize, like, there are black belts, and then there are like black. Like I sometimes I'm like, yeah, I just want to give this back. Like, even though I've won tournaments as a black belt, I'm like, I want to give this up because there are levels to it. So it's like when you come there, you're gonna you'll You'll
Man, don't
realize
say it all like that. You're gonna be good.
No, you'll be
Don't
good.
worry
You'll be
about
good.
it.
But there's definitely like there's a level. Like they have a very high standard. It's actually funny because
But they're also very hospitable.
The
and
very
they know
yes. It's
they're
not
very
about-
appropriate. They would know
Yes.
how to. I mean, you are a big guy. You don't have that going for you, Joe.
Yeah.
Your size.
Yeah.
It's intimidating and imposing.
No, listen,
What do you mean? A
yeah.
6'3" gigantic guy who's like, no, don't beat me up.
I was actually saying.
They're gonna be like, yeah, right. They're gonna grab you.
I'll be playing possum.
No, I was telling Master Julius.
I'm just saying, when you're going against a big guy, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
well, here's everything I got.
Yeah.
You're a big guy.
We came up though in the it was a lot hard. Like how it is now, it is very hospitable. It's very like anybody.
Oh, it's
do you
soft
remember?
as hell and disgusting.
Do you remember
yeah,
when we came up? Like how he would
I don't
run
even know
tournaments
he
and
gets
like
anything
if you were a blue belt going against a purple belt and you beat him, you had to wear his belt for like he basically. Do you remember that crazy stuff? Do you remember like the marathon rounds, the sprints after? They don't. I'm like.
Oh, I've had a 4-hour training session before, nonstop, no talking aloud.
Yep.
You
told me no music one
music
time.
at all.
Yeah. I
3
remember.
hours.
Yes.
Like we used to.
There's no bathroom breaks.
My old professor used to if you got tapped by a lower belt, you had to wear a pink belt for the rest of the day. That we had a pink belt.
Yeah.
Dude, you can't do that nowadays.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I would go in and I would be like, I was like, I want to be a champion, blah blah blah. And I mean, I literally would get I would have to go with John. I'd have to go with his brother, who was really good. Then I'd have to go with Tim Spriggs, who I mean, I'm sure you guys, he's talked about him. Like,
not yet, but he's black belt world champion.
Black belt world champion. Ty, I'd have to go against Malcolm, all these I'm a white belt, just getting absolutely wrecked. I mean, he bow and arrowed me one time and tore all the cartilage in my ribs.
He
That's
also
how hard,
tore my knee with some crazy footlock before.
That is how hard he that's what I mean. You'll be fine with him because he's calmed down a lot. I'm talking about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, when he would roll you were tapped. I remember you got mad. I remember you got mad because you went to do something. I was like tap, and you were like that wasn't even locked in fully. But I was because he used to be nah.
No, only because you were we were in the trenches together.
We were.
So it's
but this is what I'm saying. When he was locked in, he was he was a different animal. When he was locked into fighting, he was yeah.
It's not the best thing. That's why I'm so happy you're still fighting and you are extremely durable and are sticking to it, and I commend you for that. But I'm so happy because it's you're finally mature and old enough to listen to what I'm saying. So it's man, you could do it. It's awesome. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah. I got to get up.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it's past my bedtime. Sheesh.
Pat, thanks again for coming on the podcast. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
6 a.m. Training session, man. Oh my gosh, how many people are in there?
like 10 to 20. Bye.
Oh my god. Later.